Oh my goodness. So, good evening and welcome to everyone to the USAI Institute's 45th Anniversary West Coast Forum.
West Coast!
Woo!
West Coast is the best coast!
Empowering AA and NHPI voices. It is so wonderful to see all of you here, and also just to know, I love live events because this is only for the people in this room right now in this moment. And I just feel so grateful to be alive at the same time that you're alive. and my name's Lauren Tom.
And quite frankly, Lauren is the force, the energy, the spirit, the soul, and the heart in putting this organized event together. So give it up. No. Give it up for Lauren.
And my brother Chip. And Mary Sue Bissell.
Yes.
Anyway, so many people.
And my name is Tamlin Tamita, and I'm just the wing woman.
Ultraman. She's in Ultraman. Yes, she's in Avatar Last Bender.
No. This is not. This is about the honorees for tonight. So, Lauren,
Okay.
let's get the program going.
Okay, yes, let's get the program going. Oh no, it's your turn.
You can tell who's the bitchy sister.
And Janet
Right?
Yang is here. Woohoo!
Yay!
I think you're sitting in the front there, honey. It's actually you missed your line. It's your turn.
No, because we talked about this last night, but it's all right.
This is me?
We
No.
are thrilled.
Yeah, that's you.
We are super thrilled, honored, and happy to be your host for this evening, and we would like to give us a very, very special welcome to Congresswoman Judy Chu.
She's in the house.
And for those of you who don't know, the first Chinese American woman elected to the United States Congress. Representing the communities of Monterey Park, Montebello, Alhambra, all those East Los, the cool part of Los Angeles. But we'd also like to acknowledge Congressman Ted Lieu. And all our distinguished awardees, speakers, and panelists, local officials, friends from the diplomatic community, and every single one of you. Thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for being here with us this evening as we explore key issues, the challenges, and the opportunities for our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community as we strive to find paths forward to counteract anti-Asian hate and discrimination.
Yes, well said. We have a stellar lineup of speakers, some very special awards, and exciting entertainment in store. So sit back and relax and enjoy. And here we go. To start off the evening, we are pleased to share with you a video message from the U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador, Catherine Tai.
We are so very, very grateful to Ambassador Catherine Tai for taking the time to share such an important message. And we absolutely appreciate the appointment by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. So thank you so very much again to Ambassador Catherine Tai.
Yes. We would now like to welcome to the stage Glenn Lau-Key, Chair of the U.S. Asia Institute. Glenn is a past president of the New York State Bar Association, the first Asian American to serve in that position. He's currently of counsel to Lau-Key Law Group. Please welcome Glenn Lau-Key.
Thank you so much, Lauren and Tamlin, for that wonderful introduction. And thanks to each of you for joining us at the U.S. Asia Institute's 45th Anniversary West Coast Forum. Congresswoman Chu, Congressman Liu, distinguished diplomatic representatives, elected officials, and our distinguished award winners. And all of you who are part of tonight's program, welcome. We're delighted you can join us tonight. Founded in 1979 by Norman and Esther Key, who happen to be my parents, Chan and Nancy Tom, Joji Konishima, and Kei and Yoni Sugihara, this year marks the U.S. Asia Institute's 45th year. As you know, the role of the U.S. Asia Institute and all of you who are engaged in the U.S.-Asia-Pacific relationship is more important than ever. The U.S.-Asia Institute is singularly focused on its mission to connect, engage, and create understanding, both domestically and between the people and governments of the United States and Asia at both the national and subnational levels. We were deeply honored to be recognized by Vice President Kamala Harris in her letter to us earlier this year. She said, "For more than 4 decades, the U.S.-Asia Institute has nurtured this spirit of solidarity by working to bring communities together across the globe. I'm inspired by your devotion to facilitating dialogue and promoting peace, 2 essential pillars of creating a better, more prosperous, and safer world. Our founders worked tirelessly to support and promote the AANHPI community, from bringing together 200 bipartisan community leaders from across the country for the first White House reception in 1978, to working with members of Congress and President Jimmy Carter to have a special week declared celebrating Asian Pacific American Heritage Week. Most importantly, Chan Tom, the husband of one of our awardees, Nancy Tom, served as the head of the Small Business Advisory Committee in the late 70s. Original legislation defined those eligible to be certified for the SBA 8A programs as socially disadvantaged individuals, specifically naming Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Chan Tom adamantly and successfully argued that Asian Pacific Americans and Native Hawaiian organizations had to be included. As we all know, not everyone in the AANHPI community was a model and is a model minority. Many struggle. So it is appropriate we're here today to address modern-day struggles the community faces, in particular, anti-Asian hate and discrimination. Discussions, such as the one tonight, is more important than ever as we strive to find ways to move forward and empower Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Island voices. Further, the U.S.-Asia Institutes believe in the important role our young people can and will play. Again, Vice President Harris eloquently weighed in. While we understand that we have accomplished so much, there's still much more to do. As we honor the timeless traditions of those who came before us, let us also look forward to what we can build for future generations. So we invite you to join us in this important endeavor, for together we can make a difference. Now, I will mention something, and a request that is familiar to people in Washington, D.C., but may not be so familiar here. And that is that we would like tonight to follow what we call Chatham House rules. And Chatham House rules means that you can use what anybody says here, but you can't say who said it. Pure and simple. It's an easy way of doing it. And that goes for any press that might be here as well. And we also ask that you don't take any photos or videos during this session. So I would now like to welcome Janet Yang. Janet is an Emmy and Golden Globe Award-winning producer and current president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. As many of you know, she produced The Joy Luck Club, a film about the relationships between Chinese American women and their Chinese immigrant mothers. We're thrilled to have you with us here tonight, Janet.
Good evening, everyone. Whenever I have the opportunity to be reunited with my Joy Luck Club gals, I jump. In an odd role reversal tonight, Lauren Tom has earned her producerial stripes. And I am the flaky actor because I was on a mountaintop in Northern California this morning and came late. I thought the event was at the Hammer, went there first, and slid in just in time. Lauren, however, as an actor, is very timely, and this would never happen, nor would any of the other ageless, gorgeous beauties you see here tonight from the Joy Luck Club. Anyway, I am here to introduce Deb Wong Yang, and on my phone, I have the precise notes because I wouldn't want to do it from memory, again, because I'm not an actor. I don't know how to memorize lines. Deb is currently a partner in Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher's Los Angeles office, as well as a member of their executive committee. In May of 2002, Deborah was appointed U.S. Attorney by then-President George W. Bush, becoming the first Asian American woman to serve in that capacity. No small feat. I know what that's like. I'm the first Asian American woman to be president of the Academy. So we're a lot of firsts. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. There's many, many firsts. She has also served as a California state judge and an assistant U.S. attorney. So please welcome Deb Wong Yang.
You must be crazy because the idea that I would come here and stand on the same stage tonight with some of the most famous Asian women in entertainment is not what a lawyer normally does. But my hat's off to them because one of the things that I've always said during the course of working in the community is that the first thing we need to do is to make sure that we change our image to the rest of America. And through everybody here who is in the entertainment field and in front of a camera and in Congress and in a public position, I just want to thank you because you are the ones who are actually helping us do that. So just briefly, I'm here because I am actually one of the founders and people who started, along with a group of five of us, the Alliance for Asian American Justice, which I'll talk to you about in just a moment. Think of this as a backdrop. This is a beautiful country, but it's a country in which, as Representative Todd said, goes up and down as far as how Asians are treated in this country. So you have things like the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, the Japanese internment during World War II. But you also had things more recently, like the killing of Vincent Chen in Detroit, Michigan in 1982, which galvanized at least the Asian legal community, but the Asian community at large, because it was a time when there was injustice, because the people who killed him thought that he was Japanese, and it was during the trade wars when Japanese cars were being sold and were more prolific than American cars. And so they were losing jobs in Detroit, and they were frustrated, and they took it out on Vincent Chen on the night of his bachelor party. The community looked to law enforcement for help. The locals really didn't do very much, and so they finally turned, and this was the first time in the history we turned to the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice was great, they stepped forward, but we really didn't get the kind of result that we wanted. So let's fast forward just a moment, and let's take us now into COVID. And during COVID, what we saw, and I'm just gonna give you a few of the statistics, you can Google them out there, they're tremendous. But during COVID, the number of anti-Asian hate crimes that were occurring in Orange County alone rose by 1,200%. In Los Angeles County, it rose by over 120%. And if you look at any major metropolis across America, it rose by the same significant amount. And myself, along with these four other friends of mine, one of them who is here tonight, Brian's son, who's seated right there, because he and I and three other gentlemen decided as lawyers and prominent in our field that we would come together because, as we used to say, we cannot bear the sight of seeing a little Asian grandmother getting the blank beat out of her. And so what we did is we formed this alliance. We went out to large law firms, and we got about 130 of them to sign up to do pro bono work. And any time that there was an act of anti-Asian hate, we had the pro bono organizations that are out in the community, we asked them to refer them to us. And we would assign each of those victims to one of these top-tier lawyers. So as we would say, the little grandmother in the convenience store would have a $1,000 an hour lawyer to represent them for free. And what you saw were people who had been afraid as victims to speak out or to go to the district attorneys because they didn't know what that was and they didn't feel trusting of our legal world, have somebody help them do that. What you saw were people who had family members of theirs killed, all of a sudden have estate lawyers available to them to help them process through that. What you saw was a Vietnamese man in San Francisco who had been beaten with a bat and been in the hospital for days, find his voice enough that he could come to court and he could allocute that his rights had been violated as a victim. And what we did is we helped empower these people. We've done about 70 cases so far, and we continue to do that. We've spread the word around, and now we've moved into phase 2 because we recognize that we were just hitting the tip of the iceberg here, and phase 2 is all about education. And we're working with Professor Jerry Kang at UCLA, who's renowned in this particular field and studies anti-Asian hate. And he talks about it as being a dehumanization of Asians. And that's what it is that we're fighting against. So phase 2 has been, we've been going out to law enforcement, to agents, to prosecutors, and encouraging them and telling them all the reasons why they need to prosecute hate crimes. Not every single one of them, but we need our community to be seen, to be heard, and to be represented. And so it's been my pleasure to do that work on behalf of the community. I know that it's been Brian's pleasure. He and I literally have become close friends. We were always friends before, but we talk to each other all the time now about different cases that can go on. And it gives us great pride to be able to represent the community in that way and to advance the ball as far as justice for Asian Americans here in the United States. Okay. On a lighter note, I'm actually going to introduce the next speaker, who is Ming-Na Wen. Ming-Na is a Disney legend. She has starred in many iconic TV shows and movies, and I was thrilled because as we listed them out, I've seen every single one of them. So, but Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, don't tell my husband that I watched that. Mulan, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., one of my favorites, Joy Luck Club. Can't say anything more about that. And one of my fan favorites, The Karate Kid. Ming-Na?
No, you have best quality heart. You have best quality heart. You have, okay, I'll stop being silly.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Deborah, for the intro, and I'm so happy to be here tonight. I have the great pleasure of introducing the Honorable Ted Lieu. Woo! That's right. Give it up. Yeah, we're here to celebrate, okay? So Representative Lieu, he represents California's 36th congressional district in the House of Representatives. He is also vice chair of the Democratic Caucus, making him the highest ranking Asian American to have ever served in House leadership. Woo! Yeah. Representative Lieu is also an Air Force veteran, which I didn't know. Retired from the reserve in 2021 with the rank of colonel. That's badass, okay? And I've played a lot of, badasses. Yeah, can I say that here in this event? Okay. So I know when someone's a badass. I also want to say that I want to thank you for having such a strong presence in social media, because he really uses those platforms and he speaks up whenever he, sees injustice or whenever I just love the fact that he speaks up, because I don't want to stereotype, but most Asian cultures, we're taught to not make any waves. So I like you, Colonel, for making waves. We are honored to have you here with us tonight. Please come up, Representative Liu, and speak your mind.
Good evening. This Monday, Judy Chu and I are going to fly to Washington, D.C. to the House floor for votes. So let me just first say how happy I am to now stand in front of normal, rational, kind people. Thank you, Mina Wen, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you for being a role model for so many Americans. And we look forward to you being kick-ass in the upcoming Karate Kid movie. Thank you to Glenn for your leadership as chair of this amazing U.S.-Asia Institute, and also to Mary for your leadership as president. I'm going to talk about the state of the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community. There's both good news and bad news. So I'm going to start with the bad news first. As Deborah Yang mentioned, we had hate crimes during the pandemic, a shocking rise across the nation of 339% against people that look like you and me. And we saw elected officials who egged this on. And it certainly was not helpful that our former president blamed the virus essentially on Chinese people, that he used racist phrases like Kung Flu, and that even today he continues to make fun of Elaine Chao's name. When he does that, he is disrespecting you and your children and her and the community. We also see, unfortunately, right now, legislators in different states who are trying to pass alien land exclusion laws, laws that not only are going to affect Chinese people, but also Asian Americans. Because now anyone with a funny-sounding last name in one of these states, where one of these laws pass, is now going to be put to higher scrutiny by banks, real estate agents, the entire real estate chain. And that is just straight-up discrimination. And also, unfortunately, last term, we saw the creation of what was known as a China Initiative, where our own Department of Justice would go after professors who all happen to basically be Chinese American or Asian American. And as Deborah Yang knows, the Department of Justice has an astounding 95% some conviction rate. Well, they were losing these cases. They would bring these cases, and not only would the jury find against them, but in this one case, the judge said, I'm not even going to let this case go to the jury, because even looking at all the evidence in the light most favorable to prosecution, the judge said that the defendant, Professor Aming Hu, no rational jury would have concluded he committed a crime. And what that told me is if his last name was Brown or Smith, the DOJ would never have brought that case. So we had all this bad news happen, and now I'm going to sort of talk about the good news. The good news is the community fought back and is fighting back. So on these alien land laws, the state of Texas was going to pass it, and the community rose up and said, no, you're not. And so because of elected officials in Texas, because of Asian Americans in Texas and the community, they were able to stop it. And now Congresswoman Judy Chu has a bill in Congress to stop this nationally. And then in terms of the China Initiative, KPAC, which is chaired by Congresswoman Judy Chu, and I and others, we would ask questions at hearings, we would do op-eds, we would do press releases, we worked with community groups, and we would point out things like, hey, none of this had anything to do with classified information. And do you know how professors get tenure and get famous? They literally publish things publicly. So how could any of this be a national security problem? The Attorney General agreed with us. And to Attorney General Garland's credit, he terminated the China Initiative earlier this year. And then on hate crimes, Congress passed on a bipartisan, bicameral basis the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act that KPAC championed. President Biden signed that into law to combat hate crimes at the state and federal level against the AANHPI community and other communities. In addition, the president has issued 2 executive orders to combat hate crimes in the AANHPI community. And I think one reason that all of this happened, that we fought back and are fighting back, is because the community has grown itself in size. So since the last 2 decades, the AANHPI community has more than doubled in size. And according to a new Pew Research report, the Asian American community will now be the largest immigrant group by 2055. In addition to that, you now have the highest number of elected officials in Congress, thanks again to Judy Chu's leadership as part of KPAC. And we're going to expand that number because we just won an election in Virginia. It's a Democratic seat. The primary is won by a Democratic candidate, a state senator who is Asian American. And then our own Andy Kim is going to be the next U.S. Senator from New Jersey. And so we're seeing progress among elected officials. And it's not just in government, it's also in all areas of society, such as the entertainment industry. When I was a kid, and all of you will understand this, if I saw an Asian American on TV, I would go tell my brother and go, hey, come here, look, there's Asian American on TV. Now, we have Asian American actresses and actors who are household names. We've got the President of the Academy, Janet Yang, who's Asian American. And then we have multiple anchors like David Ono, who got the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Press Club, and so many other folks like Richard Louie, who shows up nationally on MSNBC. And as we see more and more Asian Americans get into all fields across America, that by itself sends a message to all Americans that we're just like anyone else. We are Americans. And so with that, I look forward to working with all of you to make our country an even better place to live, work, and play. And thanks so much for inviting me to speak.
Thank you so very much, Congressman Ted Lieu from the 37th. It's been always a pleasure to watch you speak out and speak out loud to the issues that are going on in our capital city, and being such a forthright soldier and scholar and speaker on behalf of not only the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community, but all Americans across this great nation. So thank you so very much for your efforts. The battle still goes on. So our next segment begins with a 1996 public service announcement that APIA Vote sponsored me in collecting all our friends in the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community in 1996 to get out the vote at that time. You'll see us, wow, almost 40 years ago. And it's just a timeless message as to what we can do as Americans in this great nation, to be mindful about the voice that we carry, to be mindful about the choice that we can make, to be mindful about our individual checkbox as well as our collective community mindset. So I would like to present to you APIA Votes, Voice Your Vote.
Listen up.
For fathers and sons,
Mothers, daughters,
brothers and sisters,
married, single,
family, friends,
from the streets,
the cities,
from the islands,
the mainland,
of every orientation, gay and straight, liberal,
conservative,
or alternative,
citizens, young and old,
and new,
substance and style.
we're women,
and men, by east, west,
An all-American.
Voice your vote.
Listen up.
Voice your vote.
Asian Pacific Americans.
Oh, wow. I did not know we were going to show that part, but that was from 1996, and you still know that the choice of who we elect in this upcoming election, up the ballot as well as down the ballot, is pertinent to the safety and the democracy and the health of our nation. And right now, I get the pleasure of introducing our next moderator who will conduct a panel discussion with movers and shakers in our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community. He is my little brother by literally 10 days. He is your ABC Channel 7 anchor. He has also been selected, as, not selected, as honored and really, really, truly from the bottom of my heart, as well as everybody who watched Channel 7 at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. But he is also Broadcasting and Cable Anchor of the Year. And he has been such a stalwart and forceful and vocal supporter of, again, our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community here in Los Angeles, but throughout our nation. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my little brother, your little brother, David Ono.
Tell you, if you keep up with the news of the world these days, then you know why. I mean, between climate change and wars and politics, it's kind of a tough world to be in right now. And I got to thinking about our discussion today, and I'm thinking, how do we keep it positive? How do we keep it light? How do we keep it happy with all that's happening in the world? But now I kind of get it. I kind of see the empowerment of having all these people in one room who have a common cause. And we're celebrating such great breakthroughs throughout the years. I mean, what would the world be without Joy Luck Club today? What would it be? I mean, truly. Representative Liu hit the nail on the head. They are household names, and that's such a benefit to every Asian American in our country. And it's just a wonderful thing to talk about. But if that didn't exist, where would we be today? What ground would we have broken, somewhere along the way without Joy Luck Club? I think that's just fantastic. So thank you very much for putting all of this on. Let me get my notes together, because we're going to help you continue to be empowered. These damn cell phones. Next time I'm getting one that's smaller. That's my lesson on trying to carry that big behemoth everywhere I go. So number one, thank you, Tamlin. Tamlin's one of my dearest friends and also one of my greatest supporters. And I don't know what I would do without her. And it's true, I am younger than her. I hope you took that away from that conversation. But I also want to bring up a couple of panelists with us today. Kevin Bradley. Kevin, come on up. Kevin is... In my short conversation with him, I already learned some really big nuggets, and he's going to kind of put some wisdom onto you, too. He's the Vice President, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community for Hub International. He's going to explain what that is, where he oversees the company's overarching DEI strategy. This is a lot of mumbo-jumbo, but you're going to get it. Kevin advocates for DEI through his engagements in Access Living, Parents Alliance Employment Project Board, Chicago Philharmonic Board, St. Jude's Advisory Committee, and his fraternity's DEI committee. So welcome, Kevin. You're going to hear from Kevin in 1 second. Also, let's bring up Penny Wei. Penny, a dear friend, is general partner of HARP Ventures. Penny's coming on up. A new VC fund that invests in and empowers founders and projects to create positive social impact. She serves on the board or advisory council for several organizations, and that's true, a whole bunch, including the National Association of Asian American Professionals, was a partner in the recent Tony-nominated musical Lempicka, but I know Penny personally, and she's got her fingers into everything. I'm talking from stuff to drink, stuff to eat, places to go eat, shows to see. I mean, you name it, she's got it going on. Films, she's a singer. We'll go on and on and on. So, and then of course, we want Representative Liu to join us up here as well. I know you just heard from him, but we're going to throw some questions at him as well. Hopefully questions that he can make us feel good about. So thank you, Representative Liu. But we just saw this wonderful video. Get out to vote. Voting is one of the ways that we could change the trajectory of Asian hate and empower the AANHPI community. And I want you to think about something. Since this is kind of sort of off the record, think about 2016, when Hillary Clinton was running against Donald Trump. And think about the fact that somewhere close to 100 million people stayed home and didn't vote in that election. Think about how different of a world we would be living in today if those people would have been able to vote. And there's a variety of reasons why they didn't. But when you sit at home and you don't vote, that's power that's kind of left on the table. And that's also history that changes. So that's an important thing to think about. But we'd also like to turn it over to this panel to ask each of them to briefly share the perspectives and experience on other ways that this can be done, including facilitating community, civic engagement, encouraging and supporting entrepreneurship. So in other words, let's just talk about everything that empowers this community, makes it more powerful. It could be politics, it could be entrepreneurship, it could be any big, great idea, and knowledge is power. So Kevin, kind of kick things off.
Well, thank you. So the first thing I want to do, though, is explain why is this guy named Kevin Bradley, who looks like Juan Hernandez, sitting at an Asian American event. But my mom is 100% Chinese. I was born and raised in Chicago's Chinatown. Plus, I'm a minion of Lawrence. So, so where I come from, I've been in the D&I space, which is under attack now. I've been in the DEI space for 30 years, and I've never seen anything like this. But I try to remain a champion, particularly of groups that are historically left out of even DEI initiatives. I've seen companies talk about we need to increase representation of women, of African Americans, et cetera, and I have to keep going up and going to bat for my community. And I feel like I shouldn't have to, but I'm proud to do it. But what I've gotten smart about, one of my mentors said, when you're talking to senior executives, you got to hit them on 3 cylinders simultaneously: the head, the heart, and the wallet. So I started going in with figures, like at my current company, for example, we're an insurance brokerage. We're the 5th largest broker. And we have a hospitality vertical, and I went to our hospitality leader and said, we help hoteliers with their insurance needs, don't we? Yeah. I said, did you know that over 65% of hotels in the US are actually owned by API? And you know there's an organization out there called the Asian American Hotel Owners Association with over 20,000 members. Do they know our company? Do they trust our company? Because my community, yes, we're frugal, but we buy from people we trust. And if they don't know us, they don't trust us, they're not going to buy from us. So that was the wallet part, I guess, of the head, the heart, and the wallet.
That's great. Isn't that a great little nugget? 65% of all hotels. I mean, I don't know if we get a discount for being Asian, but still, I think that shows power, right? It shows power, and it shows entrepreneurship. That's wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. Penny, how about you?
I want to thank Lauren first for having us all here and inviting us to speak on this panel. And I wanted to also address something that I've been asked to talk about: community and also family legacy. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Lauren comes from this beautiful family legacy from her mother, Nancy, who's being honored today. And it got me thinking about my family legacy and the reason why I continue to do what I do, and I live my life with purpose and passion and with a very clear vision. So my family legacy, I'm related on my father's side to General Tso, who's best known in American popular culture for General Tso's chicken. Better than KFC. But he was a real-life general and statesman and member of the Qing Dynasty Imperial Court. And on my father's side, I'm related to Senator Liu Chen, and who served Taiwan's government for over 30 years until his death. And these individuals in my family, and many of the individuals on both sides, have inspired me and all of the people in our family to continue to do the work in the API community to change culture. So my family legacy is all about changing culture in business, in politics, and art. And so I continue to do that in the work that I do. So with my company, with Heart Ventures, what I'm doing is actually seeding and supporting founders in food and beverage, in hospitality and entertainment, in health and wellness, in areas that I feel that are going to contribute to society, to culture, to change the narrative for all of us. It's inspired by my immigrant story also. Many of us come from a family of immigrants, and my parents, escaped communist China and went to Taiwan and then came here. And they taught us about the value of being very proud to be Asian, being Asian American. I never grew up feeling less than myself, actually. I always felt very proud to be who I am. But when I came here and I felt the inequities, not only as being a woman, but also being Asian American, and then also how it ties to the importance of us having a voice in politics, because everything is interrelated. Commerce, business, politics, everything is interrelated. I felt like the only thing I could do is to use my resources to best support businesses and people in entertainment and arts, those that are changing culture and changing the messaging that we see about our community, about the negative stereotypes that we have, and then rise up all together. And so I also see that there are, in our community, when I speak at different conferences, sometimes I encounter people who actually hate on each other within our community. And it really, really upsets me and disappoints me, because there's no way we can rise up as a community and really, really be a force to be reckoned with if there's infighting within us. So I would love for all of us to actually do that self-reflection and heal your inner wounds, whatever it is that makes you feel envy, jealousy, or whatever, that you can't support another business owner or you can't support another person that is rising up. Celebrate them. Really, really have an abundance mindset. Know that when you embrace them, you embrace your own visibility, your own identity. And so for me, that's why I am involved in some of these aspects of culture, that we are more visible. So with my shows, Limpika, that just got Tony nominated, from there it catapulted to 3 other ventures. So now I'm producing the Karate Kid musical that's coming out in a few years, and Farewell My Concubine. And those are platforms I feel that will give more opportunity for our community, more visibility, and also will help change the narrative. So I'm very conscious about how we can participate in culture, participate in community, as it relates to what Congressman Ted Lieu will also be saying, how we can all work together so that we can all elevate each other and stay very, very proactive, because your voice counts, your money, it matters also, everything, all your energy, and you're raising the next generation of future leaders. Like my daughter is here tonight, and I wanted her to be here so that she could see all these amazing people in this room, and that she can see a reflection of herself on the stage within this community, that there's power behind it. And I hope that we all remember that when we're out there and this is a very important election. This is a very important community, and we are actually a real force to be reckoned with. Like you were saying, like 50% of hoteliers are Asian American. And we are, a huge percentage of entrepreneurs out there too. As I go out there, when I meet other VCs like myself, there is a huge community out there that are just like us, and we need to support each other, and especially API founders and API women.
Well said. Well said. As you were talking, Penny, it occurred to me that you're also a hypnotist and therapist, and so don't stare at her too long. Just a warning to you, you're going to be lured in. Representative Lieu, if you could give us, I know you just talked, do you have any opening comments before we get this conversation going?
Sure. So all of you saw that video from APIA Vote. So I just want to talk a little bit about voting. When folks are candidates and they're running for elected office, I want you to know that every candidate literally ignores people who are not registered to vote. You don't get a single phone call, a single mail piece, you don't get targeted. And when elected officials across America consistently see voter rolls where there's very few Asian Americans, it's going to either consciously or unconsciously influence how they think. And so simply getting the community registered to vote is a big deal. So all of you here, I am confident because you're here, you're registered to vote, you're highly engaged. But if you could get 10 of your friends or family members who are less engaged, registered to vote, just that one thing can make a difference. And so of course you have to donate to US Asia Institute, but if you got money left over, think about donating to groups like APIA Vote and other Asian American nonprofits that do try to register people to vote. And by the way, I should give a shout out to Tamala Tomita, who is right now heading a group called Kappa 21 that supports Asian American elected officials. She doesn't have to be doing this. In fact, it costs her money to do this. And so she is doing this on the side, just trying to make representation better. So thank you for doing that as well.
Fantastic. It's great. Um, by the way, Deborah Wong Yang, can you join us up here as well? And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask some questions, but I'd love to open it up for the audience to ask some questions too, because I know you guys have a lot of things on your mind. And Tamlin and Lauren, can you give me the wrap? Because I don't know how long. Just do this. You do that, and I know we got to wrap it up. And I'll throw one more question out there. And Deborah, thank you for joining us today, and great hearing you talk. Ted, Representative Liu, can I ask you just a really broad question, and that is, can you, how do I say this? Can you give us something optimistic as we roll towards November?
Sure. So I'm gonna tell you a story. Last term, I was talking to an immigrant, and he had started a company in my district, and he was making a new computer chip. And so we're talking, and at some point I said, well, how fast is your chip? It's primarily for artificial intelligence applications. And he said 50,000 times. I was like, whoa. And then I got to thinking, I wonder if he would have woken up one day and said, I'm gonna go to Moscow and do this. Well, there's no way, right? Because you said something bad about Vladimir Putin, you get shoved off a 12-story window. Would he have gone to Bermuda, a tropical paradise, to do this? Well, no, because they don't have the infrastructure to have a high-tech chip manufacturing company. He came to the United States because he knew we had the rule of law. We've got very strong intellectual property laws. We have amazing talent, amazing universities, and we have the ability to allow him to take his idea and help the world. And my view is we're going to continue to be ahead of our peer competitors because we live in a free, open, and democratic society, and that is not going to change.
That's great. And you're sure of that? You're sure of that, right?
I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay. Kevin, you said DEI is under attack. What do you mean by that, and why?
Well, we've seen it in the Supreme Court. We've seen universities actually have to end their DEI programs. They've been totally defunded. And we're seeing a lot of corporations backtracking out of DEI. I can't tell you how many colleagues I've had that after the murder of George Floyd, companies created DEI positions. And I was getting a lot of calls, Kevin, I got this great VP job. I got this great Chief Diversity Officer job. I'm getting calls from some of those same people today saying, hey, my company cut the entire budget for DEI. And so I'm just thrilled, not to do a commercial for my CEO and my company, but I actually went and asked him, I said, Mark, do I need to brush up my resume? Just be honest with me. I can take it. And he said, absolutely not. We're not backing out. We're not backing away. And I want to create a company that we're not going to talk about diversity. You know, it's become, unfortunately, a divisive term. It's been weaponized. And he said, I don't know if I was comfortable with it anyway. And I went back to something one of my old mentors said when he told me that diversity is about counting heads, inclusion's about making heads count. But my CEO said, Kevin, the last guy chosen on the high school gym basketball team was included. But did he or she feel that they belonged? Did they belong to that team, or they were included but? And he said, I want us to lead with culture and belonging, because I want every employee at our company to feel that they belong, to feel that they're seen, heard, valued, and respected. And he said, I don't know anyone who can combat us on that. I don't know anyone who could come at us and say, what do you mean you're creating a culture of belonging? But they'll go after those words, diversity and inclusion. So I thought it was pretty brilliant on his part, and plus I thought it was pretty brilliant of him not to fire me.
That's wonderful. Deborah, do you have any idea in all of your cases, your research, what is it simply COVID? What created all this Asian hate out there? I mean, it already existed clearly.
Okay, I'll try and answer that quickly. I think one, that we look different, so we're readily identifiable. I think two, as the prowess of Asia rises, it becomes more of a threat to Western countries, including the United States. So it's a competition thing, right? And I think three, there's still a big divide, a lack of education of exactly what that is to be Asian. And so, not understanding the culture, not having really bridged that yet, allows when it becomes a stressful time for there to be this divide, because it's easier to cut something off and to take an anti-position when you don't understand it as much. And I saw that after 9/11, when I was a United States attorney, when I saw the world turn against people who were from the Middle East. And many of them were victims of civil rights violations, similar kind of things what we're seeing now. And people, I couldn't understand what is going on here, because it's like the same thing as the Japanese internment. And as someone who grew up with that, with friends whose families had been interned, it confounded me. And I used to, I remember, ask my mother, did people just go around and say, are they Japanese? Are they Chinese? Are they Korean? Like, how do you know, right? Like, what happens to people? And I saw it after 9/11, and it's fear. And in that fear, people think they're doing the right thing. They convince themselves that they're doing something to protect whatever it is that they're trying to protect. But really, there's a lack of understanding, and there's a lack of having been able to bridge what that difference is, so that you can find a solution that is broader. And so I think there's a piece of the dialogue that's still missing, and that we, hopefully as we move forward, we're able to close that gap and to make that. That's why when I made the comment earlier about the image of Asians in the world, and especially in America, needs to change. And I really did thank people in this room, because that is the quickest and the fastest way that we're going to do that. And so everything that happens in that regard, I think, helps us advance in another way.
Right. And I think that's the beauty of, not to continue to kiss people's butts, but Joy Luck Club kind of allowed us to start understanding the world of an immigrant becoming an American, et cetera, and their assimilation. But not to solve all the world's problems in 5 minutes, but would it help to be better at educating people about these very obvious chapters in their history, from Chinese exclusion to Japanese American internment to what happened to Muslims after 9/11? I mean, to show the constant retelling of the same story over and over and over again.
I think so. I mean, I think there's a movement afoot by some. It's not as broad as it should be, but by Stuart Quo, who's been a longtime activist here in Los Angeles. But he has developed a curriculum to add Asian American history into mainstream, and he's gone out to various school districts and convinced them to add that in. I think things like that. I also think, and I want to thank the representatives here, that having people in government matters greatly. Because when things get tough, like the China Initiative, and I was part and parcel of the group that went into the Department of Justice to try to talk them out of continuing to do that, you can't do that alone. It's like I call it the triangulation. You have to be able to triangulate across different points of power. And by having Judy and by having Ted and other folks, who are on the Hill and understand these issues, there to be able to voice why it's unreasonable, and then other people talking to Merrick Garland and all of his staff they were all Asians. Brian was with me. They're all former DOJ employees. So we talked eye to eye and said, this is not working. Here's the reason why. And we finally got an audience. And then that's how you start to affect the change. But we need everybody to continue to be in those positions. The more that there are, the better that we can do that.
Right. And we're going to thank you so much. That's beautifully said. And we do want to open up to the audience, but Penny, real quickly, I want to ask you, just because you seem to have you do have the passion, and a lot of the folks in the audience have the same passion, but you have found your way into helping and doing and fulfilling dreams. How do they do that? if, we've all come from someplace, and a lot of people have maybe a lot less going for them in the beginning, and it's baby steps to kind of get there. How did you get there? How do they get there?
Thank you for the question. It's like how to get from here to there in your life and your career and everything, right?
In about 2 minutes.
In about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, how do we do that? Okay. I think it's I think it begins with your attitude, your passion, and having a mission for your life. When you're out there and you're networking with people, and you have only a minute to tell people who you are, just have a master plan for yourself, and maybe do a little bit of self-reflection on what it is that you want to achieve. And think of the macrocosm of the world and how you can contribute to making it a better place for the next generation, not only yourself, but for others. That's how I was raised and how I was taught, and that's how I govern my own life. And so when I'm out there and I'm meeting people and I have projects or things that I want to manifest, I'm thinking about connecting. And I think there's people who are great centers of influences in your life, and you can try to identify who those people are and maybe understand what your skill sets are and your weaknesses are, so you can find people to join your team and enlist in whatever it is that you are trying to make happen. So if you have like a project or a dream or a company you want to build, you need to connect with people who are funders and investors and other business people and other business leaders and politicians who can help with some of the details of running your business and make it easier for you. Have this master plan and then go out and get it. And then I also think to have an attitude of abundance, so that when you help more people, you create good karma for yourself, and you get more also. Like helping another people doesn't mean that's less for you. Giving to others doesn't mean you have less. It just means that you're going to generate more. And so what if you get fucked over here and there? Oh, sorry, am I supposed to say that?
Your daughter is in the room.
Sorry. Oh my God, she's heard me on the phone. She's like, rah, rah, rah. So what if you get burned here and there, or somebody, screws you over or whatever? There's more better people out there, and there's more people that you can identify in your tribe, and find those good people. And I think it's a little bit of, some people are better at this, to be honest with you, than others. Like some people are better at selling, at pitching, at marketing. Like our, amazing leader here, Bill Ahmad, is like a master at marketing and branding and visioning and bringing people together and connecting. And he's so humble and he's so amazing. It's like, model yourself after those type of visionary leaders.
Collaboration is so important. I mean, that's what I do. Is I just come up with an idea, but I can't execute it. I have to find the editor, the shooter, the researcher. I just kind of sit back and let them go to work. And then I get the love, right? That's the way. That's what we call success. I mean, that's the way you do. Okay, questions? Raise your hand, and then when you ask it, we don't have a mic for you, so just talk really loudly. But these are great acoustics. Anybody? You guys pretty shy? All right, this gentleman over here.
So I want you to know something about John Chung. He was elected statewide in California multiple times. The only position that requires more votes than a statewide official in the state of California is President of the United States. And so John was one of those trailblazers that allowed other elected officials to come after him. So thank you, John, for your service.
Thanks. Okay, any other questions? Anybody? Yes, sir. Oh, Susan. Uh-oh. Comes a journalist.
No,
I don't think she wants to hear from me.
So look, why don't I just tell you what sort of the facts are. President Biden has won the primaries and won the delegates, so he will be the nominee. The only way he is a nominee is if he makes the decision to decline the nomination. So there hasn't been past precedent for that, but he would have to make that decision. Another fact, the $200 million raised through the Biden-Harris campaign can only be used by two people, either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Everyone else, such as John Chung, would start at zero. So you should just understand those two facts.
Wow, that's really important. That's good to know. Let's get this train back on the tracks. Kevin, since DEI is going away, I know. I'm exaggerating, reformulating. But what do you see as the future then? If there's suddenly this kind of negative connotation in some entities that it doesn't help them, then what is the future of that, and how do we help our brand, so to speak?
Honestly, I think the words that have been weaponized may go away, but if a company, I have had a number of mentors through my life, and one of them was actually a white Italian male who taught DEI, and he said, if there are companies out there that are closed-minded and they're not inclusive and they don't bring in new talent and they don't bring in diverse talent and they don't bring in diversity of thought, they will soon get themselves into a new idea, a creativity, and an innovation rut. And then he went on to say, the only difference between a rut and a grave is depth. And I told him I was going to steal that. But I say that because what company does not want to live and make money 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? I go in with data. I go in with the LGBTQ, the gross annual revenue of LGBTQ-owned businesses 2 years ago was $1.7 trillion. Asian American businesses, $863 billion. And the figures go on and on and on. And who doesn't want some of that revenue in their corporate coffers? So if you close your mind, if you close your hiring, if you close your promotions to this great diversity that we have in this country, you will get yourself into that rut, which will turn into a grave.
That's good to know. But if I could, oh, am I out of time? Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up to one more question from the audience. Okay, I have a gentleman right over here. He's first with his hand. Yeah, you the one who's turning around. Yeah, exactly.
I think it takes a strong CEO and a strong leadership that draws a line in the sand. And maybe I've been lucky, I don't know. But Bill knows this. When I worked at the McDonald's Corporation, we did benefits for our LGBTQ employees. And we had a certain group that said, we will boycott McDonald's because you're doing this. And interestingly enough, we had record earnings that year because the LGBT community said, we may not like your food, but we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to let you fall. So again, I have seen, and I've seen some of the situations that you've described, but I've seen many more CEOs take a stand because again, if they do that knee-jerk reaction, sure they may gain that right-wing business for a heartbeat, but again, it'll come back, it'll catch up with them in the long run. So, we just can't afford, again, to get into that new idea, creativity, and innovation rut if we want to be a company that's in existence 10 years from now.
And remember, Representative Liu said, we are growing, and we are powerful now, but we're going to get even more powerful. Don't mess with us. Or if Patty would say it with the F word, but don't mess with us. Representative Liu, Deborah, Penny, Kevin, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead and leave your mics on your chairs. And let me turn things over to Rosalind Chow. Rosalind, she's here, and she's known for her roles in Three Body Problem, Joy Luck Club, Freaky Friday, Steven Soderbergh's Laundromat, the live-action Mulan, What Dreams May Come, and many, many, many more. So please welcome Rosalind.
That's a tough act to follow. Who set this up so that I'm after all these brainiacs? Oh. So I just have to tell you, this is such a huge honor to introduce Judy Chu, Congresswoman Judy Chu. Of course, I'm an actress, so I'm going to make it all about me. But My parents were obsessed with Congresswoman Judy Chu back when she was the mayor in the San Gabriel Valley. They used to invite her to every single one of their little Chinese opera shows. And God bless her, she would show up at every one. And they would introduce me to her, I think hoping that I would give up this acting thing and that I would go into get a real job, something that, you know, makes a difference. And I think she's a trailblazer. Obviously, so many of our young people have followed her footsteps into politics because if you see it, you can be it. And Judy is a wonderful example of that. So let me just get into her resume. I'm done making it about me, now it's about you. She represents the 28th Congressional District, which includes Pasadena and West San Gabriel Valley. Congresswoman Chu currently serves on the powerful House Ways and Means Committee. Oh, God. And your hair is still black, not gray. Congresswoman Chu was first elected to the Board of Education for the Garvey School District in 1985, and from there she was elected to the Monterey Park City Council, where she served as mayor 3 times and went to millions of Chinese opera shows during that time. Since then, she was elected to the State Assembly and then California's elected tax board, known as the State Board of Equalization. In 2009, she became the first Chinese American woman elected to Congress in history. In 2009, she became the first Chinese American woman. Oh, I already said that. I just wanted to say it again. It felt so good. Welcome, Congresswoman Chu. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Rosalind, for your kind introduction. And yes, I will never forget those Chinese opera shows. There were a lot of them. Well, as chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, or what we call CAPAC, I want to thank the U.S. Asia Institute for gathering us here tonight, and I also want to congratulate you on your 45th anniversary. Now, I've attended many of the U.S. Asia Institute's events in Washington, D.C., and so I am thrilled to see them here on the West Coast. Don't you think this has been an incredible evening? And actually, I know of them because they have conducted so many seminars to enact constructive dialogue and relationships between the people and leaders of the U.S. and Asia. I've gone on several U.S. Asia Institute trips, and I've found them to be so well organized and so important for providing links between our countries. And so I hope that you will be doing much more work here on the West Coast. And so please let me thank you also, U.S. Asia Institute, in advance for honoring CAPAC and me for the Dynamic Impact Award from this prestigious institution. I'm incredibly honored, especially since I never dreamed that this could have ever been something I would receive. When I was growing up, I never even imagined that I could be an elected official because I saw so few people like me who were in positions of power. But then I saw the need to get involved when I saw an ugly anti-immigrant movement in the city I was living in, Monterey Park. While I did get elected, one thing led to another, and when I got elected to Congress, I will never forget the day that President Obama called me from the White House to congratulate me on becoming the first Chinese American woman elected to Congress in history. Now, likewise, there was a time when AANHPIs were so invisible on Capitol Hill that if you saw one walking down the hall, you just had to turn around and look. It was so unusual. But thank goodness this is no longer the case. In the 118th Congress, we have a record 22 AANHPI members of Congress. It's our highest number in history. Yeah, and we have 76 members, which includes our associate members now in KPAC, advocating for our communities across the nation. And what a turnaround this is. Remember, when Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, one of the most discriminatory laws in our nation's history, or when the nation incarcerated Japanese Americans during World War II, there were no AANHPI members of Congress to speak up for us. But thankfully, that all has changed. Today, we in KPAC have claimed our seat at the table in Congress. And we have done so much with it. We fought to have an AANHPI cabinet secretary in President Biden's cabinet. He finally named Julie Su as his nominee as Secretary of Labor, and we will not stop until she goes from acting to being finally confirmed. And we fought to have two other members of his cabinet, U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai and our Office of Technology and Science leader, Arti Prabhakar. And we have the first Asian American ever elected to the Democratic leadership in Congress. You heard from him today, but I want to tell you what the significance of this is for Ted Lieu. It means that he is on the track to keep on rising, and one day he could be Speaker of the Democratic caucus. Because we have a seat at the table, we were able to fight the 3 years of anti-Asian hate that was exacerbated when Trump called COVID-19 the China virus and Kung flu. And I will never forget when I heard about 86-year-old Vishwaratnapakdi in San Francisco shoved to the ground because of anti-Asian hate and losing his life. That was the beginning of the 11,500 anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents. And so we had to fight back, which we did with press conferences, statements, hearings, and bills. And we got the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act passed, the first major advance in hate crime legislation in this country in 30 years. We also saw that many Americans do not know about the AANHPI community in this country. And in fact, to them, we may be invisible. So we got the bill to start the creation of a National Smithsonian Museum of AANHPI history and culture, signed into law by President Biden to show that Asian American history is American history. But today, we fight against the attacks on the civil rights of Asian Americans due to rising U.S.-China tensions. And that's why the work of this institute is especially important now. When Chinese American scientists were being arrested and their lives ruined based on flimsy evidence, we pushed back against the main tool for the racial profiling of these scientists, the Trump-era China Initiative, and got it ended. But related attacks continue. Earlier this year, we successfully stopped Republican efforts to revive the China Initiative, and we are keeping a close eye on any future measures like this. We fought successfully to remove harmful anti-Asian provisions in the CHIPS and Science Act. We want to bolster our nation's competitiveness, but not at the expense of Asian American civil rights. And today, we are fighting back on the provisions that attack our communities, including 33 bills that have been introduced in states and one that's actually been signed into law in Florida that prohibit Chinese immigrant families from buying homes. Yes, and actually prevent them from being able to exercise their civil rights. That's why I introduced a bill to stop, on the federal level, any state laws like this from being enacted. Well, CAPAC was only able to deliver wins for AANHPIs across the nation because our communities have a seat at the table where these decisions are being made. So it's clear, representation matters, and even more importantly, participation matters. And that is of all of us working together in partnership. It is only with you and all of us together that we can move our communities forward. So thank you again for being here. Thank you to the US Asia Institute for bringing us all together here tonight. Thank you.
You know, in Washington, when someone jumps out of the shadows to grab a member of Congress, it's usually a lobbyist. I'm Ben Wu, the vice chair of the US Asia Institute. I'm not a lobbyist, and we're not in Washington. You know, we're in Los Angeles, where the LA community just reveres and respects Congressman Judy Chu. I think that the incomparable Rosalind Chow made the clear case for why Judy is deserving of this recognition. And I think that for those of you here who are represented by Judy in Congress, you may not be fully aware of all of the work that she's done in Washington to advance the cause of not just the peoples of our nation, but also to reach out to support the Asia-Pacific nation and the United States relationship to the Asia region. And so she has been such a great partner. You listed several of the collaborations that we've had a chance to engage with. And Congressman Chu is the longest-serving member and leader, chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. And she's elected by her peers. So that shows the great respect that she has within the institution and within her peers. And so between Judy, Ted, and the other members of CAPAC have really been true leaders in helping to, as a theme of this event tonight, facing our challenges and moving forward to be able to advance the best interests of our nation. So on behalf of our chairman, Glenn Lau-Key, our president, Mary Sue Bissell, our board, we wanted to present to you, this is quite heavy, so hold it with both hands. Actually, it's not just the Impact Award, it's the Dynamic Impact Award. So if I could ask Glenn, if you could come up, Chairman Lau, if you can come up to help present. Come on.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me say that I actually stand in the footsteps of giants, and that is the other persons that have been the leaders of CAPAC, and that is Norm Mineta, Robert Underwood, Patsy Mink, Mike Honda. They've been leading this caucus, and they were the ones that helped leverage our power in Washington, D.C. And I am proud to say that now CAPAC's been around, where we celebrated 30 years of work in Washington, D.C. But there's so much left to be done. We have to be vigilant in combating anti-Asian hate and rhetoric. We have to strengthen diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have to fight for true health equity, advance economic justice, expand language access in federal programs, and grow our caucus even more. And let us dream of one day, not just of finally having an AANHPI on the U.S. Supreme Court, but as President of this United States. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dale Ting. I'm the ACE Next Gen SoCal president. If you're wondering who I am, don't bother Googling me. I'm not in any movies or any TV shows or representative of Congress. I am here to present an award to someone very special here. The co-founder, chairman, and chief connectivity officer of IW Group, Mr. Bill Amata. Sorry, Bill, you get the least famous person here to present you, but at least you get Lauren as well. But Bill is quite the marketing guru. He helped companies such as McDonald's, Lexus, Walt Disney connect with their Asian American and multicultural customers. But I don't know him as a marketing genius. I know him as a community leader and role model. He serves on many nonprofit boards, but the most relevant to me is National ACE, which later became the parent organization of ACE Next Gen. Bill calls himself the Chief Connectivity Officer, but we call him the Godfather. The name is more ironic than literal, as he is the nicest person you could ever meet. He's the Godfather because he's kind of a big deal, but you wouldn't know it, and his presence is felt in the culture of our organization. I'm going to name the ACE Next Gen values, and you can tell me if they sound like him. Generous, authentic, humble, community-oriented, and growth mindset. Our organization basically wanted to have a bunch of Bill Amatas in it. So with that, I'd like the Godfather himself, Mr. Bill Amata, to come up to the stage.
First of all, thank you, Dale. Thank you, Dale, for that great introduction. And it's not just great to hear from you, but also to be surrounded by all these badass women. And I have to say that there's a lot of intersectionality between the women that are here. So you may not know this little piece of trivia, but when Janet Yang got Hollywood Studios to kind of work on the Joy Luck Club and bring Amy Tan's book to life, I get a call from Hollywood Studios and they go, Bill, we don't have any money and we're not sure if this movie's going to go anywhere, but would you be willing to do a few screenings or help with a few screenings? We don't have any big theaters that could do this, but we have a few Century City kind of small theaters that we might be able to utilize. And do you think any Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders would be interested? And I said, hell yeah. And of course, we had a ton of people show up from the community. And it was because of badass women like Janet Yang. And I have to be real honest, I used to be scared shitless whenever Janet Yang would walk around because she was such a badass. But I also want to show the intersectionality that we have with all these different communities. When I was starting my company more than 30 years ago, and we worked on the Joy Luck Club movie, when that first came out, I needed a little help. And so one of the first women to help me was Nancy Tom. In Chicago, and I reached out and I said, I'm trying to get my organization started. I don't know anything about the Chicagoland area. Can you help me? And she said, absolutely. And so she coached me when I was first getting my business started. I also want to talk to you about Judy Chu. Rosalind, you and I have something in common. Every time I would call Judy Chu for every little piddly community event, she would show up, and I was convinced that she had a clone. So I also want to just show that there are intersectionalities everywhere. You had a conversation earlier with Kevin Bradley from McDonald's. He worked at McDonald's many, many years ago, and I was trying to convince McDonald's to hire us. And so using all the kind of elevator speech messages, we're the fastest growing population in the country. We are loyal consumers and we will eat your food. We are representing 2-3% of the population back then. And so the McDonald's chief marketing officer said, yeah. Do you know where the door is? And I said, absolutely. So the next year, Kevin Bradley helped me get another meeting. And I spoke to the chief marketing officer. We're the fastest growing segment of the population. We are growing rapidly throughout the country. We are loyal consumers. Yeah, that's really nice, Mr. Amata. Do you know where the door is? So I finally got smart after 7 years. And I just said, McDonald's, what do you do in Europe in terms of marketing? They said, Bill, I thought you were the Asian American expert. No, what do you do in Europe, McDonald's? Oh, we do a lot in Europe. Europe is a critical market for us. I said, pick any country that you're currently marketing in Europe. And he goes, Belgium. What is your point? And I said, do you do any multicultural marketing in Belgium? And he goes, that's absurd. Flemish, French, and a little bit of Dutch-German, because Belgium hugs the German border. And I said, so you do multicultural marketing in French, in Flemish, and a little bit of German. And he goes, well, it's the seat of the European community. Of course, English. And I said, well, did you know that there are more Chinese Americans and South Asian Americans in the United States today than there are people in the country of Belgium? Do you also know that there are more Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in the USA today than there are people in Portugal, people in Denmark, people in Austria, people in Switzerland, and Greece? And he said, wait a minute, are you saying there are more Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the US today than there are people in Greece? And I said, absolutely. And if you were to put every Asian American and Pacific Islander on Angel Island, and it's separated from the USA, it at that time would have been the 21st largest economy in the world in terms of nominal GDP. And he said, you just got my attention. So I want to just talk about sweet and sour, and I don't want to spend too much more time, but I want you to be proud and unapologetic about being Asian and Asian American or Pacific Islander. Glasses, made by Vietnamese American. Shoes, made by a Korean American. Suit, made by a Chinese American. But I also want to mention that if you were to put every Asian American and Pacific Islander on an island today and it's separated from the US, it would be the 15th or 16th economic power in the world in terms of nominal GDP. And guess who's in 15th and 16th place? Spain, 48 million people. Indonesia, 180 million, no, wait a minute, 280 million people. Mexico, with 130 million people. There are 23 million Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But with the power that we have, we also have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to make sure we elect people like Ted Lieu, like Judy Chu, that we elevate people like Janet, and all of the actors that are here, Tamlin, Lauren, Meng-Na, Rosalind, that we elevate all of their work, and we also elevate the most needy people in our community, because we have the largest income gap of any community today between the richest in our community and the poorest. So we have an obligation today to make sure that we uplift everyone in our community. So thank you so much for your time, and congratulations, US Asian Institute, for your 45th anniversary.
Bill, everyone loves you so much. You are so beloved and respected for everything you are and have done, and your humility. And I just want to say that both you and my father, fought to counteract the stereotype that Asian people didn't need help financially, which is not always true, And I just have such a respect for everything you've done and everything you continue to do in the Asian community. So proud to give you this award from the US Asia Institute. Please.
I'm Oliver.
And I'm Leo.
And we're honored to present the Special Visionary Award to our grandma, Nancy Tom.
Our grandma has dedicated her life to promoting awareness of Asian American issues, art, and cultures. In the 1970s, she served as a trustee of the US Asia Institute, She also organized its first National Asian American Conference in Washington, D.C., with President Jimmy Carter serving as keynote speaker. In 1997, she founded the Center for Asian Arts and Media at Columbia College in Chicago to highlight the contributions of Asian Americans to this country's culture and history. And as part of Chicago's sister city's relationship with Shanghai, she created Hip Hop Chicago, taking 26 local multicultural artists to perform at the 2010 World Expo in Shanghai. In 2013, she was named a White House Champion of Change for her extraordinary work in the arts to create a safer, more prosperous, and more equal future for our communities and the country.
Tasked with summing up a lifetime of achievements and accolades, our grandma said this: "For me, it's all about telling stories through the arts to foster an understanding about who we are, where we come from, and where we're going. At age 90, I ask all of you to strive in your own way to connect, empower, and foster resilience across generations by becoming active voices in our communities." Please join us in celebrating our grandma, Nancy Tom.
So difficult. Thank you so much. I'm tongue-tied. I'm a grandma and a mother to two wonderful, Lauren and Chip. And everything that I did was from here. And I did it as a mom. I started out just helping everyone that I felt needed my help. And to follow such wonderful people who really have done so much, I'm so proud and so happy to be included. Thank you.
Great job, Mom. All right, she's going to give you the award now.
Okay.
I'm so filled up right now. If you all wouldn't mind just indulging us a few minutes, we put together sort of a love letter to my mom for all of her service to the community. So it was Oliver and Leo and my friend Harlem Lee, who's an amazing singer. So we made this little video for her. Thank you so much.
Yeah, say, yo, listen up, I got a story to tell about a lady from Chicago doing mighty well. She's a queen in the scene and so supreme. Nancy Tom is who I mean. She's a champion of change, she's making waves. Crowned by Obama, she's taking name. She don't take no slack, and that's a fact. So get off her back, cause she's on the attack. With love for her community, she's standing up for unity. From Point Pink, China to Chicago, Illinois. Get out your seats, cause we making noise.
I would just like to take 1 minute to say, I'm representing, this honor does not belong to me alone, but it is for all the generations before me who aren't here anymore. All the warriors and the hard-working men and women, all warriors. They deserve this honor too, and they should not be forgotten. Thank you.
She's into rap, hip hop's a jam, fashion's a game. She don't get no damn. Deconstructionist designers, that's a style. Yamamoto Sandra Jones in heart with you, cause she'll walk that mile, taking the lead ahead of her time, breaking barriers with ease. US-Asia Institute, US-Asia Institute. She co-founded with a man, Tom Chan, her hubby, yeah, they had a plan. Center for Asian Arts, she made it real, encouraging Asian youth to express and feel, paving the way for a better day, doing the time with a smile on the face, with style, attitude, and grace. Make some noise. What's her name? What's her name? Nancy Tom, Nancy Tom, Nancy Tom.
Me.
And I believe, because this is the US Asia Institute, I just want to recognize that tonight is the Dodger game Japan Heritage Night. So LA, again, West Coast is the best coast. But I am very, very pleased to introduce to you, to round up our evening, a most amazing Filipino-American, awesome a cappella set of songsters, rapsters, musicians extraordinaire, who were featured in NBC's hit musical competition, The Sing Off. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my true honor to introduce to you, maraming salamat po, the Philharmonic!
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Isn't she precious? There's this one minute old. I never thought the love with me make it one of the me that she. Isn't she lovely? Made from love. Isn't she pretty? Truly the angel's best. Boy, I'm so happy. We are heaven's best. I can't believe what God has done to us and given life to us. Isn't she lovely? Made from love. Isn't she lovely? Life and love are the same. Life is Aisha. The meaning of her name. Lord, it could have not been done without you conceived the one so very lovely, made from love. So very lovely, made from love.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, US Asia Institute. Thank you so much for having us. We are the Philharmonic, and that's spelled with an F-I-L because we're all
Filipino. Yes.
That's right. Just to quickly introduce ourselves, my name is VJ.
Hi, I'm Trace.
Hi, everyone. I am Joe.
I'm Jules.
Hi, guys. I'm Nico. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. We're so very, very honored to be here, so inspired by everyone here. We're huge stands of Lauren Tom and David Ono. I love you guys so much, but also just it's an honor to represent our culture, and that's why we're here. But we also really love a cappella, which is singing without any instruments. So we're gonna keep going. Here we go.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining. sunshine in you. To see the rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometimes, I wanna spend some time with you. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. We look for love, no time for tears. Wasted water's all that is, and it don't make no flowers grow. And darling, when the morning comes and I see the morning sun, I wanna be the one with you. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two. Oh, just the two of us. You and I. Just the two of us. You and I. Just the two of us, you and I.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We have one final song to sing. Thank you guys so much for inviting us to such an empowering and inspiring event. We've been a group for about 10 years now, and we really started this group because we just wanted to kind of like showcase Filipino talent and try to collab with as many Filipino artists and Asian artists out there. So it's been today's been a nice reminder that, like, you know, we've got to keep the work going, keep meeting people, and just seeing all you guys has been a real inspiration. So thanks for having us again. We have one last song. I know there's some Filipinos in here, so we definitely have singers. So you have to sing along to this one. You're gonna know it, I promise.
Do you remember the 21st night of September? Lovers changing the minds of pretenders, all chasing the clouds away.
Our hearts are ringing in the key that our songs were singing as we dance in the night. Remember how the stars stole the night away.
All right, y'all. You know this part. Everybody sing.
Come on. Say that you remember. This is in September. Never was a cloudy day.
All right, Phillies. Let's do it.
Now December found the love that we shared in September. Only blue talking love remember. True love is shared today. Whoa, oh.
Your turn. Say that you remember. Sing it.
want y'all repeat after me. Sing hey, hey. Come on, ear training.
Come on.
You're good. It's a little harder. Yeah. Sing. Yeah.
Y'all better sing. Come on.
Sing. One more time, sing. Now everybody scream really loud. Nice. Sing along. Put your hands together. Come on. Come on. Yeah.
Never was a cloudy day. Do you remember? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Anyway, oh my gosh. Wow, I just can't. What do you,
It says reserved.
It said-
Lauren.
oh.
It says Lauren Tom is supposed to be reserved.
Just like, let's gorillas do that, don't they? Thank you so much to every single person who came here tonight with us and just shared this kinship. And we're all like-minded people trying to make a difference. And in this crazy world right now, it just feels so good to come together and just connect. And I hope you had a wonderful time. And I just want to thank so many people who helped put this together, who helped my brother and I make this a reality, and everyone that was on the panels and the stage and just donated their brilliance and their time and their talent, because they're such good people, apart from just being so great at what they do. And so I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart, and especially to my Joylet Club sisters. Who knew that we'd be still the blessing of that would just keep giving, because I never had any sisters, and now I've got 3, and they're so loud, and they're all, but I love them to death, and we're always getting shushed on the airplane because we're so noisy. But thank you so much, especially to this one who just guided me through all of this and calmed me down, and just so much support. I don't know how I'm going to ever repay all these people. But really, so we got to pay it forward, right?
Yeah.
If anybody needs help,
right.
I'm your girl. So on that note, what are we going to do? Oh, yes, that's me too. So I just have a little ask. If you've enjoyed our evening of community and you want to support the US Asia Institute and the great work they're doing, there's the QR code, and you could just whip out your phone and just grab it so you don't forget, because then it'll be there. So I'm just, if you can, if you're able. But I just wanted to say that I really hope that you've been inspired and that you're going to leave more hopeful. And thank you for joining us for this special evening of empowering AANHPI voices. And then the last.
Just really, really quickly, thank you so very much on behalf of Nancy, Tom, and her husband Chan, on behalf of KPAC and Congressman Judy Chu, as well as the ubiquitous and just prodigious Bill Amata, for their honors and awards tonight and their recognition that they deserve for their brilliant, illustrious careers. And thank you so very, very much. We asked for all the presenters as well as the panelists to be on stage for
We're going to do a picture.
photo. But
Yes.
thank you to each
Thank
and
you
every
so much.
one of you for your participation.
Yes, and to Mary Sue Bissell and Kathy Lenardi. We never could have put this together without your help.